Imagine witnessing the legendary Rolling Stones perform, only to discover that behind the scenes, keeping this iconic rock band united has always been an uphill battle filled with tension and creative clashes. Now, that's the raw truth that'll have you hooked on their story. At first glance, the remaining members of the Rolling Stones exude the vibe of an unbreakable brotherhood when they hit the stage, but the reality is far from that seamless harmony. Achieving even brief moments of true synergy among them has historically been a rare feat, which makes their enduring presence in the music world all the more astonishing. Yet, despite their status as one of the longest-standing rock and roll acts, it's unrealistic to expect every band member to be passionately in love with each and every album they produce. Digging deeper into their dynamics reveals intriguing differences in individual tastes. Keith Richards, for instance, has never shied away from openly discussing his inspirations drawn from blues, country, and rock legends, wearing his influences like a badge of honor. On the other hand, Mick Jagger often appears somewhat detached from the core rock and roll spirit, showcasing incredible dance moves but harboring a vision for the band that's markedly different, and sometimes at odds, with what fans might expect. To clarify for newcomers, this means Jagger's ideas lean toward experimentation, pulling the group away from their gritty, guitar-driven roots into more eclectic territories. Take their acclaimed album Exile on Main Street, a cornerstone of their discography celebrated for its raw energy and bluesy depth. But here's where it gets controversial. Mick Jagger has candidly admitted he wasn't particularly fond of it, even though it encapsulates much of what makes the band's sound so powerful. Each track serves as a masterclass in their signature style, yet Jagger seemed intent on gradually steering away from that formula as the 1970s gave way to new eras. He aspired to emulate the transformative, genre-bending style of David Bowie, a chameleon-like artist who reinvented himself constantly. And this is the part most people miss: such career shifts don't always pay off, as evidenced by Jagger's solo endeavors, which left many bewildered and questioning why he wasn't fully committed to the Stones. Even his attempts to infuse fresh elements into the band's work, like the disco-infused Miss You or the experimental Might As Well Get Juiced from the 1990s, often felt like bold risks that required listeners to acquire a taste for them, much like trying an unusual cuisine that grows on you over time. If there's a chapter in their history best swept under the rug, it's undoubtedly the turbulent 1980s. Tensions ran high, with interpersonal relationships, especially the famed Glimmer twins duo of Jagger and Richards, plummeting to new lows. While Richards found some success in his solo ventures, albums like Dirty Work from that era lacked the spark and passion of their prime. It comes across as if the musicians were merely punching the clock, going through the motions without genuine enthusiasm. Tracks such as Fight feel labored, transforming what should be exhilarating rock into something more akin to a tedious obligation. Keith Richards himself painted a vivid picture of the chaos, describing a studio environment so toxic it impacted everyone involved. In his own words, as reported in various interviews, the horrendous atmosphere in the studio affected everybody. Bill Wyman almost stopped turning up, Charlie Watts flew back home. Reflecting on it later, Richards noted that the songs captured an undercurrent of violence and menace. Think tunes like Had It With You, One Hit, To The Body, and Fight. They even filmed a music video for One Hit, To The Body, that mirrored the real-life animosity, with near-physical confrontations spilling over from acting into genuine heated exchanges. Despite not being pulled in wildly diverging directions, the album as a whole exudes an unmistakable sense of dysfunction when experienced in full. Band members might have been operating on autopilot, delivering performances that lacked heart, and while flashes of authentic anger emerge, the rebellious edge here often registers as contrived or superficial, stripping away the genuine edge that defined their best work. Adding another layer to this narrative, Ronnie Wood was upfront about the album falling short of their usual caliber, using his unusually high songwriting contributions as proof. Wood, a skilled songwriter in his own right, stepped up more than typical because the core creative partnership between Richards and Jagger was faltering, illustrating how, when the band's chemistry breaks down, others fill the gaps, sometimes diluting the magic. What do you think? Does Mick Jagger's experimental drive deserve more credit for pushing boundaries, or did it detract from the Stones' iconic sound? And in an era of constant reinvention, should bands stick to their roots or embrace change? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear if you agree, disagree, or have a different take on this rock and roll roller coaster.